this room, their hearts would be open to the message that you have for them. Their ears would hear what you need them to hear, Lord, that we would draw closer to you, that we would know you better. Lord, I pray that we would come to understand the path that you've set before us and that we would faithfully walk it out with you, Lord. Help us to be obedient and give all the glory and honor to you. In Jesus' precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
All right, good morning. Thanks for being here. In my mind, I'm imagining people getting ready for services today, and you've got this dartboard on your wall, and you're just going to throw darts to see whether you go to church or don't go to church. If you do, which one you go to. I just want to let you know that today you hit the bullseye, okay? Yeah. God is doing some stuff here at Harbor that's just, I would call it miraculous, but it's difficult to explain to other people what God's doing here with us and for us here at Harbor. Did you know that on the other side of Bass River, we have over 400 people who consider Harbor their church home? Yeah, it's a 45-minute to an hour drive each way for them. And people on the other side of Bass River, so I've been told, they don't come this side of Bass River without packing a bag and spending the night, because that's an overnight trip for them kind of a thing. But we also have 200 people on the other side of the bridge that consider Harbor their church home. Yeah. Those of you who make that journey, thank you so much for doing that, because I know for especially the ones on the other side of the bridge, it's either an hour to 7 hours, depending on the time of the year, on how long it takes you to get here. But thank you so much for that. But Harbor has a heart, a passion to see people come to know Jesus Christ as their Savior. And those 400 or those 200, they're not able to get their neighbors and their friends and the people that check them out at the grocery store and that kind of stuff. They can't get them to drive that hour or an hour and a half distance to come to church. And so when my wife and I first came to meet with Pastor Josh about potentially moving here to the Cape, I asked him, I said, Pastor Josh, what is your end game? What is your goal? What is your vision that you have? And he said, Ron, I believe that God wants Harbor to plant 27 churches up the coast of New England. And by doing that, nobody will be more than 30 minutes from a gospel preaching church. Yeah. That's something that I felt, my wife felt that we could, if I could use the term, we could buy into. We could sell ourselves to. We could become part of. Now, we are blessed here at Harbor with our pastor. He's one of the better communicators of God's truth of anybody that I've ever heard, and I've grown up in church all my life. Yeah. And for 40 years, I was the lead pastor in a church, and I'm even saying Pastor Josh is better than what I did for 40 years. It just, we're blessed. But from time to time, when I come up on one of the two campuses, somebody will come up and say, hey, is Pastor Josh here today? And my answer is always the same, I don't know. But in my mind, I'm wondering, are you following the man or the message? Which is it? Now, we're blessed to have Pastor here as our leader, but we're more blessed that the gospel of Jesus Christ and his truth is faithfully proclaimed from the pulpit of our church. And we're here for that purpose. And the message that you hear from our pastor He does that 6 more times every weekend, just at the same level and volume and input as he does here. And folks, his body and his voice is worn out. And so what he's done this summer is he's taken a few weekends here and there off just to rest his voice. Yeah. And we're thankful for that. I just want to let you know, whenever he comes back into the pulpit, he's going to dump a load on us. Because you just kind of build that up over time, kind of thing. But we want to be a church that not only reaches out into our community, but we want to be a church that helps develop leaders within our church family. And my favorite, other than Christmas and Easter, my favorite weekend that we have is what we call carousel. And what that means is, and this is carousel weekend, what that means is the 7 services this weekend, each one has a different person preaching it that's part of our church family. They're not on staff, they're just individuals that are part of our church. And what that does is it helps all of us to know we can all proclaim God's truth to our neighbor, to the guy that is at the gas station when we go in and give him our credit card, whatever it is that we do. We can give God's truth to them also. You don't have to be standing behind a pulpit to do that. But these 7 men have volunteered, I guess, cajoled, whatever the proper term is, to participate this weekend for it. And I'm privileged that I get to be able to introduce them. And so our speaker for this hour is Erik Cabral.
Stop.
Wait.
Hi, Ron.
Yeah.
Hey, that's for you. That's for you.
There's my dollar. I love it.
He had to write my name down so he remembered.
That's right. Let me tell you, first time I met Erik. Okay,
I don't like this story.
I'm teaching a lesson. I'm dealing with how to develop a legacy within your life, and it's just one of those lessons that I'm just doing really a good job with, and I think everybody ought to learn from.
That was just a show.
And so about 3/4 of the way through my lesson, Erik is sitting right in the middle of this group, and it's maybe 40, 45 guys. Erik's sitting there, and all of a sudden he stands up, and he looks at me, and he says, "This is a bunch of expletive." And he turns around and walks out. And I thought, well, I'm not as good as what I thought I was, kind of thing. The reason I'm telling you that is God got a hold of Erik's heart. He gave himself to Christ, and we get to listen to what God's given him today for us. So, Erik, I love you, buddy.
Love you, bro. Thank you. Thank you for that introduction and the story. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everybody here. Thank you, 9 a.m. Wow, there's a lot of you. Wow. Thank you online, my family and friends that are watching online. Thank you. Long road. I had him put this picture up of me. That's my high school photo. Believe it or not, that's me. I look like a 40-year-old crane operator with 3 kids. And what you can't see is I had peg pants and spot belt sneakers. And if you know, you know. If you're in this room, that was the look. And this would actually look better on him, this microphone, like Britney Spears' backup singer, than it does on me. So anyway, like Ron said, I'm Erik. If you don't know me, I've been coming to Harbor.Church for 6 years now. Well, I argue with I think it's 7. She says it's 6, so we'll go with what she says. And, it's been a long journey. It's been a long journey here, but I had this all prepared and ready to say, and then you get up here and you're like, wow, it's emotional. This is tough. It's tough to get up here, You're sharing a moment between God and I. You're sharing it with me, that he pointed me in this direction for years, and it took me years to get here. And listen, I was Pastor Josh's driver, his security. You always see me sitting. I'm unapproachable. I'm not the guy that doesn't talk to you. But I always sit right there, right? Or here or in Hyannis. And for years, probably over 1,000 services I've sat through, and I would sit there and go, please, God, don't ever ask me to get up there. Please. Please don't. lo and behold, here I am. So it's like praying for patience and getting stuck in traffic light. All the traffic lights. It's the same thing. And one more thing is, I have to apologize for the rainy weekend. That was me. I prayed that God would send a blizzard so he could shut this down, and we didn't have to do this. Luke, I tried. Luke's next. Luke's doing the 11 o'clock. I tried, but here we had summertime. I wasn't thinking. I should have asked for a hurricane, not a blizzard. But like I said, 6 years ago, my wife, my beautiful wife, Jeannie, love you. Man, this place is emotional. Why am I having a hard time? Two of my daughters are here, sitting in the front row. Between Jeannie and I, we have 6 kids. She has 1 daughter, my stepdaughter, Lindsay, and then I have 5. I have 4 girls and a boy. The rest of them are all out of state right now. One's on vacation. Lindsay, I think, is at a horse show somewhere. I have a son who lives in Florida, a daughter lives in South Carolina. And like I said, Jeannie brought me here 6 years ago, kicking and screaming. I didn't want anything to do with this. I had no faith. I wasn't that guy. I'm like, no, babe. We drive by Hyannis, and I say, it's a cult. I'm never going in there. And so I'm part of the cult now. Thank you. Wow, there is a lot of you in here. Seriously, I shouldn't have prayed for rain because beach day would have cleared this out. Man. But I want to bring up, you guys have seen the picture of Jesus chasing down the lamb. You have that picture? Yeah, there it is right there. Every time I see this picture, it reminds me of me because that was me. And I'm going to read you a verse from Matthew about this. But I just want a caveat to that is I wasn't lost. I just wasn't where I was supposed to be. And Jesus looked down. In my mind, this is what I pictured. Jesus is like, all right, kid, enough. Come on. I got to show you the way. And he did. He pointed me in a direction, and it led me to this. And how I did it, I don't know, without God's grace and love and support of everybody in this church. It's amazing. But I want to read you a verse that applies to this photo. It's from Matthew 18:12. If a man has 100 sheep and one of them wanders, what will he do? Won't he leave the 99 and go to the hills and search for the one that is lost? And that's what he did. Like I said, I felt like I wasn't where I was supposed to be, not lost, but man, it is a picture of who I am. And it's how I'm able to be up here today. It's how I'm able to be part of this church. And I'll go more into it later. I'm going to tell a story about my faith and kind of what brought me to this and what it's gotten me through. And it applies to our message, what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about, we're calling this series Sandcastles. I don't know if you have that. There's, yeah. So in the bumper video, you saw a picture of a sandcastle, and you saw it collapse. And as a kid, I mean, I remember you go down and get the sand, and you put it in the bucket, and you get that good sand. Not the water sand, not the beach sand, but that in between, right, where it's nice and moldable, and you mold it. And you come up, and you pack it in there, and you put the bucket down, you bang on the bucket, and you lift it, and half of it falls. And as a little kid, you're like, ah! But as a parent, you don't see how funny that is until, when you have kids and you go to the beach and they're building that and they do that kid squat. I can't even do it. But they're like down here and their butt's touching the ground and they're building the sand. I can't even get down there like that. I can't. My knees are so bad. And they're building the sandcastle and then they lift it and that pot falls off and they do that little kid. I used to love that with you guys. Oh, it was great. Sorry, I'm going to embarrass you guys as much as I can. That's how crowd work. That's what I call it. So I wrote it in my notes this way. It says, where you build today determines if you'll be standing tomorrow. So it's so true in life, and I learned that the hard way, and I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have gone through it. Even though my life was built that way, my life was built on sand. And now I truly believe I'm built on the rock. And we're going to get into the verse in a little bit, but I want to paint a picture of you. We're going to be reading from Matthew 7:24 to 27. Don't put it up yet, Desi. But I want to set the scene for you real quick. Jesus had just got done preaching the Sermon on the Mount. He was on the Mount of Beatitudes is what it was called. I think I'm saying that right. Am I saying that right? Beatitudes? Okay. Beatitudes? Yeah. So I did a little research. I did a lot of research for the service. Listen, it's incredible what goes into preaching a service. Like Pastor Josh told us 5 weeks ago we're going to be doing this. And I was like, okay, man, all you do is dive down rabbit holes and you're going down. I was writing things this morning in my truck sitting right out here. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm going to screw this up. And I got tons and tons of notes. And so you don't realize what goes into it. But one of those things that led me down one of the rabbit holes was I wanted to see, because when I read Matthew 7, 24 through 27, I was going to yell it at you guys because in my head I was picturing Jesus must have been yelling to 1,000 people for them to hear him. They didn't have microphones. They didn't have but Mount of Beatitudes is a natural bowl. So Jesus would have been sitting up on a hill. Sorry for the sweat. I tried to put paper towels in my armpits. Didn't work. Sorry about that. So, and this is the live one. Pam says to me this morning, she goes, Erik, you're going live at 9 o'clock, so no swearing. And I was like, oh man, that's my biggest fear. You know, I grew up as a kid in New Bedford. I joined the Marine Corps. I work in a prison. I'm a contractor. Listen, my language is not good, so I'm like, God be with me. And you know what, God, you put me up here, so you're part of this. You're partly responsible for this. So, anyways, let me set the scene. So it was a natural bowl that Jesus was preaching in. He was sitting up on a hill, and he would talk down, and the sound would just reflect around the bowl. So it was almost like God made it that way. It's just weird how everything falls into place. You read the Bible, everything falls into place. It all lines up with it. It's amazing. I'm actually reading the Bible right now. I'm doing the Bible in the year, and I'm way ahead of schedule. And the Old Testament is brutal. Ugh. I read that, and I was like, Leviticus? Ugh. I'm like, what am I doing? So, and it's brutal to read, but the last word of the Old Testament is destruction. The very last word is destruction. And you go into the New Testament and Jesus. It's just weird. It's so poetic. I love it. It's beautiful. But if you haven't done the Bible in a year, I recommend you do it. You're going to learn so much. And I'm in the New Testament right now. I'm in Acts. And man, Jesus just came. I never read it like that before. And it just came alive to me. I've fallen in love with the stories, the Gospels. It's amazing. But I just wanted to put that. That's not part of my service. A lot of this is not going to be part of my. Oh, and by the way. No, listen. They told me to be myself. This is me. All right? You can ask Pastor Mike and Zach. This is me. So if there's any complaints, if I say anything wrong, it's Pastor Josh at Harbor.Church.com or Pastor Ron at Harbor.Church.com. So if I do anything wrong, that's where the email goes. I'll say that a couple times if you need to write it down. So Jesus is preaching. He gets done with the Sermon on the Mount. And he's literally speaking the New Testament into fruition. They're writing down what he's saying, and they don't know it, but an entire religion was based on this. Christianity was formed on this speech, basically. I mean, Jesus did a lot of things, but man, this speech just hit home with everybody. And he was preaching about loving your neighbor, false gods, giving, fasting, worry, love. He was putting it all out there, everything. And when he preaches to them in Matthew 7, he explains to them not to build your house on sand, to build it on rock. But I want to explain what they would have known exactly what Jesus was talking about. They had these places called wadis. Am I saying that right? Wadis. It was flat level areas. What had happened, the water would come in, it would rush it out, it would make it flat and level. They got flash floods all the time, but they didn't know when it was coming. But if you were an outsider and you came to this area, you'd say, oh, I can build my house there. And people did, and it would get washed away. So they knew exactly what Jesus was talking about in Matthew 7 when he did this verse to them. It would be like me saying to you guys, and it's funny, I kind of ran this by my wife last night, and she didn't laugh, and I was like, do I say it? I don't know, maybe. But it's like being Cape Codders, we're on Cape. And if somebody has to go off Cape, you're like, where do you have to go? And you go, oh, I got to go to Plymouth Home Depot. And they're like, oh, you have to go off Cape? Oh, it's like climbing a mountain. You're like, yeah, I'm just going off Cape. And they're like, oh. But it's true, right? So it's like me explaining that to you and going back in time and explaining it to them. They'd be looking at me like I had three heads. But Jesus, they understood what Jesus was trying to say to them. So go ahead, Des, you can bring up Matthew 7, 24 through 27. So, all right, it's the same one I got written down. And I didn't know if it would be different ones. Anyone who listens to this is Matthew 7, 24 through 27. Anyone who listens to my teaching and follows it is wise, like a person who builds a house on solid rock. Though the rains come in torrents and the floodwaters rise and the winds beat against the house, it won't collapse because it's built on bedrock. But anyone who hears my teaching and doesn't obey, it is foolish. Like a person who builds a house on sand, when the rains come and the floods and the wind beats against the house, it will collapse with a mighty crash. Is that what it says? Yeah. All right. Sorry, I got the whole thing right up here, but it's tough to see over the podium. I'm short. I'm not built for this. I'm 5'8", 195 pounds. Not built for this. Some of the things I'm going to say, the 20 of you who listen to my podcast with Katie Rose, act surprised, okay? So, like I said, they understood exactly what Jesus was talking about. And I want to talk about what it means to be building your life on sand. Yeah, the sand one. Sorry, this is new to me. I don't know how Pastor Josh does it. He just flows. And I sit there all the time. I'm like, okay, I guess I couldn't. I don't know how he does it. But when Jesus was preaching to them about his explanation about sand, you have to understand the time. The Romans were oppressing them, the people. They were oppressing them. They were spiritually fractured. I mean, it was so bad that God had to send his son to earth. That's how bad this was, and that's who Jesus was preaching to. These people were so broken. They were just looking for anything. And when I was thinking about it, I was saying to myself, how does that apply to society now? The best way I can describe it is like coming out of COVID, right? We were all like, man, everybody was just beat down. And all of a sudden, you started to see a revival throughout the country, like a religious, Christian revival. Not even religious, it was a Christian revival. And people just coming to it, and that's what these people were hungry for back then. And Jesus he started that. Literally, he started this whole thing. And they just needed something. He was talking about legalism from the religious leaders, and the society was just incredibly exhausted. They just needed that. And that's why they picked up what he said and ran with it. I mean, Pastor Ron said earlier that there's 7 guys who are volunteering. I don't know what Mike McKean does for work. Do you know what Mike does for work? Mike McKean? No, I'm not sure what he does. But the rest of us, there's 2 contractors. Luke's an accountant. One of them's a barber. He just called people from the assembly to do it, just like the disciples. I mean, you had a tax collector, you had a political activist, you had fishermen. That's who Jesus. It's just normal people out of the crowd. He picked them up and he put them out there to create Christianity, basically. You know. Not that that's something I could do, but man, I'm so blessed to be part of this. It's incredible. But back to building on sand, we apply that to our life now. And, you know, if you're sitting in this room, the story I'm going to tell you in a little while, I was so stuck, and if you're there, man, there's a way out, because there's no way on earth I saw myself doing this. Absolutely. If you knew me from before, or my family or friends, to see me up here now, it's literally shocking. You know, that this guy is up there preaching, because I was lustful and greedy, and my pride and my ego, I was that person. I like to say I'm proud of things, and it doesn't mean I'm prideful as a sin, but I'm proud of things. You can be proud of things, but when you put that, when Jesus enters your life and you see things differently, man, you start to change. And that's my hope for everybody in this room. If you're stuck there right now, you're built on sand. Sand feels good, right? It's malleable. You go to the beach, you sit there, you dig your feet in it. It feels good. It's warm. But it's easy. It's not challenging. It does nothing, right? I'm a contractor. Pastor Mike and I, we build things. We'd never build a house on sand. It wouldn't last. It just wouldn't make it. You need that firm foundation. You need something solid to build on. It's funny, being a builder, when the inspector comes out, he could care less what your decorations look like. He doesn't care what the color paint is. He cares about how that foundation, you do. When you build a house, you put the forms up, get them inspected. Pour the foundation, get it inspected. Frame the house, get it inspected. Those are the important things, right? What's going to hold that house together when the storms come? So, but if you're in this room and you're like that right now, where am I for time? All right, I'm good. Just checking my time. They told me 30 minutes, so I want to make sure. Pastor Mike, his first service was 12 minutes long, so if I get 13 minutes, I'm good. And he's a pastor. He became a pastor. Am I right? I'm right. So, I'm going. I can't believe this is live. I can't believe they put me live. Oh. Hey, I initially said, and I know Pastor Josh would be like, no, you can't do that. I was going to say, all right, we're going to put 25 swears on a board, and we're all going to say them together, so I don't say them. But I didn't say that. But seriously, if you're in this room, man, and that's you right now, where you're like, I don't know where to go, and you know, if you're there is a way out, and that way. I would hear this for years, like, Jesus, and I'd be like, and it kind of turned me away, but I understand it now. Man, I understand when you get me and you learn who Jesus was, what he was trying to do, how much he loved the people. I'm not there. And I'll say this about Pastor Josh, and I'm not saying this, Pastor Josh is one of my best friends, and I'm not saying this to boost his ego or whatever, but man, if you knew how much that guy loved you, oh man, everything he does is focused on you. He could care less about this building. If he can get people, sorry about my armpits. I keep lifting my arms up. I got to pray like a T-Rex. Like, Just saying, you said be yourself. This is me. Pastor Mike said, he goes, man, you're trying to never get invited to do this again, aren't you? I was like, no, I don't know how else to be, you know? I haven't sworn yet, so there's that. Don't clap, I might still do it. But if you're there now, man, if I could point in the direction of Jesus, it would change everything. You know, I'm going to get into storms, but later on, when Pastor Mike comes up, he's going to call the prayer team up, and I know it's uncomfortable, especially for the guys in the room. Come up here for prayer. Take that step. That's all it is, man. It's all it is. I prayed with a guy one day, or he came up. I was on a prayer team, and he said to me what he wanted me to pray for, and I said, you know what? You pray for it, and then I'll pray over you. And he did. And I see him in the lobby later, and he goes, Erik, I've never prayed before with somebody. He goes, that was amazing. So that's all it takes. Just one little step. You don't know. You know, that's all it took for me. Pastor Josh, when I sat there with my wife, was sitting in hiatus. I didn't want to be there. I was mad. I'm sitting there with my arms crossed. And Pastor Josh said, I've read a lot of last rites, and there's a big difference between people who know they're going somewhere and people who don't. And when he said that, I was like, wow, I really don't know. I thought I knew. I thought when life ended, that was it. There was nothing. Man, my mind has changed. My hope is I go to heaven, but I'm working towards it, man. I'm just, every day, that's my goal. My goal is heaven. That's my goal. I'm trying not to move around for the camera. I know when Mike McKean was preaching last week, Mike was like everywhere, and the camera's doing this and that. It's making people sick. I'm trying to stay in one spot for you guys. So I want to talk about the storms of life now, because that's what Jesus mentions in the passage. He says storms will come. He doesn't say if they come, they will come. The storms will come in your life. And the thing about storms, can you bring up that quote for me, Desi? The storms will reveal who we are and most likely who we're not. That's what they'll do, right? Because I think I'm going to tell you a funny story real quick. I worked in a prison for 20 years. I worked in Bridgewater. And there was a boxing team. When I say this, it's very loose. I was not an MMA fighter, but I trained in MMA. But I got too old for the sport, so I turned to boxing. And we had a boxing team, so I was like, all right, yeah, I'll fight. So I signed up to fight, got my pro card, did all this stuff. And we go up to the Boston Armory. Now, I'm training. I'm not a boxer. I'm an MMA. Well, actually, we got Kippy Diggs in the crowd right now. He was a boxer. He was a champ at one time. And actually, Kippy used to travel in the same circles I did when we were boxing. Anyways, my first fight, so like I said, I was an MMA fighter, and I'm enter a boxing ring. I threw a kick in the fight. And the referee pushed me back. He goes, what was that? I was like, I'm sorry. I don't know what to do. But after the first round, I came back and I sat on the stool, and my trainer was like, oh, you're going to do this? I'm like, dude, I'm done. I can't do this. I was so unprepared for it. I thought I was ready, and I wasn't. And that's what the storms come. You think you're ready for the storm. You think you can weather it through. But it's so difficult. Number one, the storm's difficult. Number two, without Jesus, it's almost impossible. And that's what leads to depression. And sadly, some of the things people do, that depression takes them down those roads, addiction, suicide, it's without Jesus in your life. I don't know how you get through it. I don't know how I got through it, how many times I did. And I wrote in my notes, both the believer and the non-believer are going to feel the storm, but it's what you're based on if you're going to get through it. Some of the examples of the storm, I told you depression, grief, politics, big one. Ooh, I had to stop going on, I would go on the news feeds every morning. My wife's like, you need to stop that, because I was going down that path, and it's tough to think this way, but the storm is a blessing, because it's going to force you to grow. It's going to force you to hopefully seek out God, and with him in your corner, you're going to get through it. But I wrote in my notes, blessed is the crisis that made you grow. Blessed is the fall that made you gaze up to heaven. And blessed is the problem that made you look for God. Those are the storms. Those are the storms. He's waiting for you, like he was waiting for me, and I never sought him out. And he pulled me in because he knew what was coming for me. And I'll talk about that in a few minutes. I'll talk about what the storm I faced in my life and how it changed my life. And it's actually what led me to being up here. It'll give me the courage to be up here. It takes a lot of guts to get it. I was in the Marine Corps. Like I said, I worked in a prison. I fought. Nothing's been more intimidating than this. I'll tell you. coming up here in front of, and it's not that I'm in front of a crowd, it's that I'm preaching God's word to you. Do you know how powerful that is? Like, these are the words that God dictated to be written down in the Bible, and he trusted me. The God of the universe trusts me to come up here and tell you. Man, that's thank you, Larry. and going, prior to preaching, the text and the support that I got from people in this church, it's amazing. We are such a family, and if you're not bought in yet, you're sitting in this room and you knew this, it's not a cult. It's not crazy. Man, it's love. That's what this room is. It's love. I forgot to mention earlier, I have 5 kids, and I meant to mention this, and of course, I'm going too fast. They range from ages 22 to 34, and I have a 10-year-old granddaughter named Lila, and we have 2 grandsons on the way in October and November, right? October and November, they're on their way. And I see the math bubbles above your heads. You're like, how does a 40-year-old guy have a 10-year-old granddaughter? But I do. I graduated in 1990, so you can do the math. But I just want to put that because I forgot to say it earlier. But the storms, like I said, they will come. And being part of this community, being part of this church, I swear to you, it'll help you get through it. Get plugged in. We do a lot here at Harbor.Church to get you guys connected. We just got an email, and my wife's going to get mad at me for this. We just got an email the other day about doing connect groups at our house. Elise, we'll do them. Oh, there's Elise right there. It has to be a Monday night, though. That's the only night we can do. She works the rest. So look, she's shaking her head no. But that's what it is, right? We do the connect groups, and I'm going to run one. And God's calling. We wouldn't have got that text or email that I didn't get if God didn't want us to do it. And those are the things that when you're asked to do something in this church, it's through someone, God's calling you to step up, to take action, to be part of something. Like Pastor Ron said, Pastor Josh wants to grow this church. There's 27 churches up and down the coast. That's not going to be easy to do without buy-in from the people of this church. It's so difficult to do. Just preparing for a message is difficult to do. Picture what opening a church is. Actually, Pastor Mike and I built this church. And I love this church. I have a love for this church that is second to none. I mean, we planed this wood down. Everything you see, we did it right here in the parking lot. These are trees that were dumped in Pastor Mike's front yard that we cut down and planed down. Our blood, sweat, and tears are into this place. I'm spitting like Pastor Josh. I just noticed that. They said my mouth would get dry up here, so here it is. I want to talk I just want to explain to you how you get to this point, right? Building your life on the rock, on Jesus. Can you bring up the lighthouse? This is what I picture in my mind, what it looks like. When you're building on something, that lighthouse has probably been there 100 years, and it hasn't moved. It wouldn't last like that if it was on sand, but I love that. I don't have the picture, but the picture, there was a guy standing in front of the lighthouse and the waves are crashing around him. That's amazing. But that's what it looks like. That's what you would be immovable. I know that's tough to wrap your head around right now, but that's what I picture in my head, what my life has become now. I fear nothing with God in my corner. Nothing. I don't fear it. I saw a quote, and I wish I had written it down, and it said, you can't shake a man who believes that everything he's going through is up from God. You just can't rattle him, man or woman. Sorry, I'm trying to be correct. I don't want to offend. Remember the email, pastorjosh@Harbor.Church.com. Pastor Ron@Harbor.Church.com. But, I brought my Bible up here. I didn't write it, and all my notes are here. But this thing, I've fallen in love with this thing. And I put it looks like I've read a lot because I put a bunch of bookmarks in there. No, I just did that to make it look like, no, I'm kidding. But it's tough to get into your Bible. It's tough to read. Like I said, the Old Testament's brutal. It's difficult to do. I'll give you an example. One day I was working out in my garage, and I said, all right, I don't feel like reading today, so I'll read something from James. Short, it's only 3 chapters, and I read James. I was on my treadmill crying. I'm like, God knew. He was like, all right, you only want to read James? Here you go. And I broke down in tears this morning working out. That's probably why I'm sweating. I worked out this morning. But I was crying this morning talking to God in my garage. That's not me, man. If you knew me years ago, I'm not that guy. I'm not an emotional guy. But Pastor Ron said to me, that is, God's given you that. Display it. Show it. And I could barely hold it together to get started in this thing. And I think when I end it, I'm going to have a tough time. I'm getting close. Wow, it's time's flying by up here, huh? Holy crap. But I want to talk about what it looks like to build on the rock, right? 1 is the Bible. 2 is surrounding yourself in community. I kind of already talked about that, but I can't emphasize that enough, guys. I wouldn't have gotten through what I had to go through if it wasn't for the community around me. You know, I'm so blessed to be part of this church, and so are you. Just if you're not there yet, you don't realize it yet. But the storm will come, and you're going to need people around you. And I'm telling you, some of the men's groups we won, the woman had a Italian night the other night. Over 200 women showed up for that. That's beautiful. That's us growing, right? Pastor Josh always says, be that person that somebody looks at and says, I want what they have. You know, I work towards that every day. Think of it this way. If somebody follows you around all day, would they know you were a follower of Jesus? By your actions, by what you're looking at on your phone, what you're doing, how you're treating people? Believe me, I'm not there yet. You can ask Pastor Mike. I get mad. We were driving up to Pennsylvania the other day. I was mad at something, people driving or whatever. I wish I was there, but we're human, right? It's the pursuit of Jesus that gets us there. It's the pursuit of Jesus that he comes into our heart. It's not being Jesus. You can't be Jesus. He was perfect. I mean, I think I'm close, but I'm not Jesus. That's just... Right, babe? Right? Oh, this is Joanne. Hey, I was going to call you out. Sorry, Joe. All right, Joanne's here, so now I want to get into my story that kind of tells how I got, well, I need the sad music for it, right? I'm just being real. This kind of sums up what Jesus was talking about, right? I'm going to tell you the story about me and how it changed my life. Go ahead, Joanne. I need the music. There we go. All right, setting the scene. No, seriously. Like I said, 6 years ago, I came to this church. Didn't know why. Didn't want anything to do with it. Oh, man, I'm getting emotional with the music. Joanne, stop. No. About a little over 2 years ago, I felt a lump in my neck, and I was like, what is that? So my wife's like, you should get it checked. I'm like, nah, I'm good. It'll be fine. And then my daughter, who's a nurse, feels it, and she's like, Dad, you need to get that checked out. And again, I was like, I'll be fine. So then it kind of weighed on me. I was like, all right, let me go see. I went and saw ENT in Dartmouth, Mass, ear, nose, and throat doctor. And she looks at it, and she does a scope down my neck, and she says, I don't know how to tell you this, but you have cancer. You have throat cancer. And I was like, what? Like I said, everything I've done in my life, cancer's going to get me? And I got in my truck, and I started driving back to the Cape. It took about 45 minutes to get to the bridge, 35, 40 minutes. And, man, I had it out with God. You know, I was mad, and I just laid into him. Like, why would you do this? You took me this far. Why? Why this? By the time I hit the bridge, God was like, I got you. Don't worry about it. And I'm being honest. I had a change of attitude. So I had cancer, and it was tough. Hardest thing was telling those guys, my kids. But by the grace of God, here I am. You know? And if Jesus hadn't, if you listen to the podcast, turned my truck around one day, brought me to Harbor, I wouldn't have gotten through it. Believe me, when I found out I had cancer, I had plans to drive up to the Kangamangas Highway somewhere and say, all right, this is it. I'm going to do it myself. That was my thought. Would I have done that? I don't know. If I didn't have faith, I probably would have done it. That was me before. I didn't want to go through that. I didn't want to put my family through that. But I made it. And it was a tough road. But this church, man, the people in this church surrounded me with so much love. It was they anointed me. They anoint you with oil. That's what the leaders are called to do in the church if you're sick. And they came to my house, and Pastor Josh, Pastor Mike, Zach, the guys, my tribe of men that I surrounded myself. And I recommend, if you're in here, you don't have a tribe around you, get one. Because when that storm comes, man, it's so comforting to have them around you. So they anointed me, and I didn't want him there. Pastor Josh actually said it. He goes, I know, in his prayer, he's like, I know Erik doesn't want this right now. And since then, I've done it for 4 other guys. I've anointed, me personally, I've done it for them. I become the cancer whisperer around here. Somebody finds out they have cancer, like, go talk to Erik. But God brought me through that and put me up here. I'm right now, as far as today goes, I'm clean. I'm clean. I'm cancer-free. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. But I believe he did that with me to show you what hope looks like, right? If you're going through it, you can get through it. Trust me, there's a way. There is a way. And prayer, man, I prayed every day. My wife prayed every day. It got to the point where I couldn't talk anymore because the radiation, my throat was so bad I couldn't even talk. So I'd have to text. I would have to text everybody in the room. I'd have to text my wife. And Pastor Josh comes over, and he's sitting on my couch, and I'm in my bathrobe. I haven't bathed in like a week, and I'm texting him, dude, you don't have to be here. And he's like, no, I want to be here. And he goes, at least you can tell people you don't want to visit that you can't talk, so they won't come. And I texted, what do you think I'm trying to do right now? But, Desi, do I have any more slides? I can't remember. It's all right. But that's basically my story about the cancer. If my life was built on sand, I was going nowhere spiritually. I didn't believe. God brought me in, surrounded me with people. The storm came, and I got through it because I was built on it. I have a foundation on Jesus. I do. If there's one person in this room today that looks at me and goes, you know what? If he can do it, I can do it. That's all I'm looking for. That's all I want, man. That's why I'm up. That's why we all do this. It's not, a lot of you are bought in already. It's the one who's not. It's the people driving by. You're like, hey, come on. There's a better road. There's an easier road. Things are going to get tough, but man, it'll be easier with Jesus. I'm telling you, it will be. My heart is for men's ministry. I'm one of the men's ministry leaders here. And guys, I'm challenging you in the room. We do meetings every first and third of every month. I want you guys to get plugged in. I want you to come to one of those meetings. We call it The Forge. And I know what you're thinking in your head. You're like, you need to become a spiritual warrior for your family. That's what God's calling you to do. And in your mind, you think of a warrior. You think of this like war-torn, like strong, stoic guy. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Zach, stand up. Face the crowd. Face the crowd, Zach. Zach, do you see a man in the crowd that fits that description? No, stand up. No, seriously. I plan on doing it. I love Zach. Zach's like my little brother. All I do is pick on him. Zach is that guy. He's the men's ministry leader. Guys, in the room, he's no different than you and I. He's more like me because he's bald. But this is what it looks like, guys. He is the spiritual leader of his family. He's the leader in this church. He's a guy who's chose to step up and say, you know what? I can do this. I can get up there. He got up earlier and spoke to you guys. Anybody can do it. If I can do it, anybody in this room. You can sit down, Zach. You've had your moment. Sit down. Love you, brother. Thanks for being a good... I was going to do it to Pastor Mike, but you're a better target. You're a much better target. But men, get plugged in. Show your family what it looks like to lead. Going back to when I had cancer, one of my daughters, Erika, she's my oldest, she had no faith. She was worse than me. I basically raised my kids to not believe. Thank God most of them believe. Erika didn't, but the other ones do believe. Erika, when I had cancer, she came to visit me from South Carolina. We were sitting right in this room. It was during the rooted service. And we were doing communion. She didn't get up. And at the very last moment, she got up and got the sacrament. And she stood there and she took it. And I go, why'd you do that? And she goes, Dad, I don't know what it is, but I feel like Jesus just came in my heart. So even though I had cancer, even though it sucked in the moment, my daughter was brought to Christ during that time. She's been baptized. She's a believer, a true believer. And she's a nurse in a hospital in South Carolina, and she's that crazy nurse who gives the little baby Jesuses to everybody. And the administration was trying to figure out who did it, and they still don't know, and it's her. Yeah, it's her. And if you know my daughter, Erika, she wasn't a nice person at one point in her life. My daughter, Erika, was tough, but man, she's just displaying God's love every day in what she does. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch, but that could be any one of us, and especially the men. I'm telling you, guys, step up, become that leader. Come to the meetings, surround yourself with guys who are going to support you, that are going through the same thing you are. There's no different. You think you're the only one, you're not. Trust me when I tell you you're not. But I want to end this with prayer. I know I was kind of long-winded, kind of bounced all over the place. Sorry if I messed you up in the booth. I had all kinds of notes to read you guys, and I was like, oh, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say that, but that's not what God led me. That's not what the Holy Spirit led me. He led me to say what I said. Maybe next time, if they invite me back. Oh, wait, I got to swear before this ends so I don't get invited back. But anyway, if you can bow your heads, close your eyes. I got to pray for a couple minutes so the band can get out here. Joanne already warned me. Father, thank you for this moment, Lord. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to come out here in front of this beautiful church, in front of these beautiful people. Never in a million years, Lord, did I think you'd put me here. And every week, Lord, someone gets up here and says, leave this room different than you walked in it. And I truly want that for everyone in this room, Lord. When you drive out of this parking lot and it's tough to get out into 28, it ends right. It seems like it ends right there. You get so frustrated. But Lord, let them carry it through the rest of the day today. And then maybe next week they carry it into Monday, then Tuesday, through the rest of the week, Lord. Thank you, Father. Thank you for everyone in this room. Lift them all up, Lord. Thank you for my children being here, my wife. Lord, I ask you, don't ask me to do this again. I appreciate that. But, Father, I just come to you humbly and with all my heart, Lord, I love you. It's in your precious and holy name I pray. Amen. Thank you.
You guys would get on your feet. Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Sing holy. And holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. And holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside
can I just ask right now that every single one of you in this room just realize what happened today. This man come up here and he just was himself. He come up here just to make every single one of you feel like you were his best friend. Would you just do me a favor and just thank him for the message that he gave? And with that, I would like to ask the prayer team to come forward, because I know that there was a challenging word in all of that. In the fire hose that is Erik Cabral, I want you to just recognize the fact that he challenged you to take a step, especially you men. Take a step of leading, of doing something different than what you've done before. So come forward. Pray about what that step is. Ask God, is it baptism? Is it giving? Do I trust him with my time, talent, treasure, and testimony? Can I do that? Oh, guys, I hope, and our hope, and I know Eric's hope, is that you walk out of here differently than the way that you walked in, that you will go out and be yourself. You will use the story that God has given you to become the person that everyone else wants to be, because they know that you have Jesus in your life. We want that so much for you. And I just want to highlight one more thing. Erik mentioned that Pastor Josh's love for you is far beyond what you know. Dude, we can't stress that enough. This man is sacrificing his life, and along with his friends and his staff members and his church, we want more for you than you currently have. If you can't recognize that, I don't know what to tell you, but we want you to be on board with us. Just being yourself. You don't have to be fake. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to give more than you think you can give. Just be a part of what we got going on here. Why? Because we want a better community. We want better homes. We want better marriages. We want better parents. Anything and everything, we want it to be better. Why? Because we know that he's the one that has the answer, not us, but we want it for you. Guys, go out and have a great week. We love you, and we will see you next week. Have a good one.